Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this lab, this acid rain lab. So I have everything out here that I think I need. The first thing you're going to need to do is create your acid rain. Okay, and to do that you're going to use acetic acid. You can either use rice vinegar, white vinegar, apple cider vinegar. Balsamic won't really work because it's too dark. But pretty much vinegar is 0.8 molar acetic acid. And so we want 0.1 molar acetic acid for our acid rain. So we're going to do the C1V1 equals C2V2 calculation. So here our C1, our original concentration is 0.8. We don't know how much of that to use. Our final concentration is 0.1 and we need 100 milliliters. We're going to make 100 milliliters of the acid rain. And so if you solve for V1, you get 12.5 milliliters of vinegar. So I'm going to use my graduated cylinder. I think I'll use the rice vinegar. Okay, so I'm going to use my smaller graduated cylinder and I'm going to fill it up to 12 and a half. Okay, that's perfect. And I'm going to put that in my graduated cylinder. And then I can just bring it up to 100 milliliters of water. That's adding 87.5 milliliters of water, so I'm just going to bring it up. You could use tap water, you don't have to use. I'm using distilled water, but okay. So that's our acid rain. And you can just put that into any cup. It's just dilute vinegar. It's not going to be a problem if you use it later. And then I just love to use chopsticks as stirring things. So give that a nice good stir. Okay, so then I've labeled it 0.1 molar acetic acid. So that's going to be our acid rain. So the lake water that I'm going to use is water from a lake called Quarry Lakes. And you're going to use whatever lake water you have, or stream, or river, or marsh, or bay, or ocean, or even a fountain, if you want to use a fountain or a pond or something. Okay, so I'm going to use 50 milliliters for each. Oh, what the heck. I'm going to use 40 milliliters because there's a nice mark on here. I'm going to fill this up to 40. And remember, if you're going to do more than one sample, you got to make sure you use exactly the same amount of lake water. I'm going to add some pH indicator. This is called universal indicator. And I'm going to add, let's see, 0.5 milliliters. So these pipettes have little marks on them. I just want to see if 0.5 is dark enough. You know what? I'm going to go and add another 0.5. I'm going to go ahead and add a milliliter total because I want to see a nice dark color. Okay, that's a better color. So what you can do is you can Google Flynn. That's the company that makes the universal indicator. Universal indicator, and you can print out this or put it on your iPad or computer monitor or whatever if you don't have a color printer, so that you can see what pH you're starting at. So I'm about a little over 7, maybe 7.5. I'm kind of in between those two. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to write down my initial is 7.5. Okay. And so what I'm going to basically do is titrate this lake water with acid rain. And so normally you would use a burette. I'm sure you've titrated in chemistry with a burette, which is a big, tall, basically a big standing pipette with a little spigot. And you could put in small amounts of the acid, and then you could see how much you added. But I didn't want to have to give you all burettes. So I'm going to put the acid rain in this 25 milliliter graduated cylinder. And then I'll add a little bit. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and use this pipette. And I'll add a little bit at a time. And then I'll be able to see how much I've added just right on the graduated cylinder. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get several points. And you're gonna take the pH all the way down to, oh, let's say 5, or between 5 and 4. And so you're going to see how much acid it takes to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to add a couple drops. Wow, it's already changing really fast. Okay, so now I'm at 7 already. Okay, so I'm going to pour the extra back in here, and I'm going to see how much I used. And I used 0.1 milliliters. Okay, so for 0 milliliters, I was at 7.5, and at 0.1 milliliters, I'm at 7. Okay. And so now I'm going to add a little bit more. A couple more drops. And I'm going to see if I can get to 6. I'm going to have to add a little bit more to, whoa, almost at 5. Another drop. Another drop. Okay, that's pretty close to 6. Maybe one more drop. Okay, so now we're at 6. And now I'm at, but it was 0.2 milliliters, so another 0.1, so 0.2 total. I'm at 6. Okay, let's see if we can get down to 5. Now the pH of vinegar, I think, is 4.5, so you're not going to get lower than that. But I think I should be able to get to 5. Good, 5. That's pretty good at 5. Okay, so at 5, I'm at 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Okay, well that's pretty simple. So I have 0.3 milliliters it took to go from 7.5 to 5 with my lake water. Okay, so here's my data. Right there. Okay. Another way that you could do it is you could fill up this pipette up here, and then you could just add it and then read it actually on the pipette. That would be another alternate method. I'm just going to see, just for grinsies, how low this will go. Let's see if I can get it to 4. Looks like I can. Okay, so I can get it to 4, and 4 is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.3, 0.35 maybe. Okay. All right, then I'm done with my experiment. So then what I want you guys to do is put this data on the Google Doc so we can have a whole bunch of different types of waters that we can be comparing.